And welcome to Justice Served TV. Where you been? We've been around all day. Hey, glad you could join. So we've got info for you on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Could it happen? Is it almost happening? We've also got information on Luigi Mangione. We've got, of course, Walshe, Day 4, and our special correspondent, Scott McGuinness, is in the courtroom. Well, not at this moment, but you know what I mean. And also a little update on some of the Proctor material that's been found in that crazy phone dump.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
What is justice? Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
Justice when we see it. To be and Damil, I lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
All righty then. So you may have noticed Linda Baden is still on assignment. Maybe something happened in Atlantic City today. Maybe it didn't. I cannot share at this point. Nothing to share. I got nothing. All we know is that something happened, and we'll have details. Won't take much to go beyond those details. We'll have details before you know it. Just don't have it for you to share tonight. Want to hit that right off the top. Okay, a couple things. Luigi Mangione, as you know, he's been in court all week in the Manhattan Center Street facility there. I thought about going down, but there's been so much going on with Walshe, etc. I did not make it. They'll be back at it tomorrow. They're fighting. The defense wants to suppress all kinds of things that he said and had with him in his backpack when Luigi Mangione was apprehended in Altoona, Pennsylvania, after somebody cited him and said, those eyebrows look familiar. He, of course, is accused in the death of Bryant, the United Healthcare CEO. So today, the testimony, and they've got body cam. Shocking idea, body cam for law enforcement. And they've got body cam of the initial interactions with Luigi at McDonald's. And what he was eating, I don't know. I'll get into that. I'll dig into that for you. But the important part is the defense is saying, look, A, he wasn't Mirandized. They talked to him for 20 minutes, wasn't Mirandized. So anything he said, that's out. And they also, I'm going to spin on myself. They also, in the backpack, found, the 3D gun, the silencer, those things they want excluded because it was an illegal search, they say. So we've talked about the fact that the arms were within arm's reach, safety of officers, all of that, in my opinion, protects the material that came through the search of the backpack. That should be fine. Interesting new wrinkle today on the statements. Two officers first approached. One guy left either to go talk to the person who ID'd him or had something else to do. I think maybe report back to that they looked at that ID. Remember, he had the fake ID from New Jersey. Who's going to pretend to be from New Jersey? Sorry, just kidding. So they were. I think the cops saw that. Then one of them was taking it back to the squad car and check that out. And while one other officer stayed with him with his body cam. So they saw the body cam footage in the evidentiary hearing today, and in it, this one officer asks, hey, why are you in Altoona? You're from New Jersey. What are you doing here? And it's believed that Mangione says, I don't want to talk to you now. That's a little fuzzy. That's going to be subject to some interpretation, but maybe irrelevant if he wasn't in custody. Doesn't matter anyway. It was a very early question, and then at some point he talked to him a little bit further, and the question becomes, well, if he said, I don't want to talk to you, is he invoking his rights? Well, again, this has to be a custodial interrogation, and if the reasonable person would think that with this one cop standing there, Mangione could just get up, throw his trash in the McDonald's bin, and walk out, that's far from custodial. And there's case law that really helps define what custodial is. Doesn't have to be in the cop house, doesn't have to be in the back of a cop car. Maybe 10 guys around you in a McDonald's moving with you every time you try to get out of there. It's probably going to be custodial. Not in this case. That didn't happen. Anyway, so more on that hearing tomorrow. They were off today, so they did Monday, Tuesday, today, and they'll do tomorrow. It may slop into next week. Don't know. But we'll keep you posted if it happens to do that. Okay, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I can tell you that the documents we talked about last night, which we got, and they were literally smoking, off the press, hot as they could possibly be. We got them first, and within minutes of them going to the court. They weren't even filed in the docket yet. They popped up this morning. Most importantly, they popped up saying they have been accepted. So in theory, yesterday was the day, right? And remember that Kelsey Fitzsimmons' attorney, Tim Bradel, I should say Kelsey Fitzsimmons, of course, the North Andover cop, was shot, now in jail because allegedly violated her conditions of parole, or her injuries wouldn't allow her to follow those conditions, the scram testing. Anyway, the boyfriend, alien, decided he wanted the baby, did that, led to an altercation with the cops. She's in jail. Because Tim Bradel had sent a note to the SJC, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, saying, don't worry about a reply brief. We just want this thing done fast. And the court accepted that request, but then denied really an expedited hearing, in fact, any hearing. And so on the eve of their considering the case, which was yesterday, the 3rd, that's when Tim Bradel, Kelsey's attorney, filed his reply brief, and he did so because of the opposition that was filed by the Commonwealth. We went over that in detail last night. We were happy to share that as quickly as we could. But my point for today's update is that it has been accepted by the court. They could have said, look, dude, you asked under the rules not to do a reply brief, and now you just did one. You're screwing up our system. The question now is, and I did talk to my pal at the clerk, that we could learn as early as tomorrow. It may not happen, but it could happen because the court has agreed to review this on an expedited basis. We just don't know what the hell that means. It could be tomorrow, though. I was asking my friend, I call him my friend. He's been great helping out. And so he's now officially my friend, like it or not, buddy. He's been very helpful about, kind of getting me into the process there, because every court clerk's office is different. And now we're at the Supreme Judicial Court. So obviously, not only is it special for the Supreme Judicial Court, they have a different clerk for the single justice hearing process as the full panel. This is a full panel, right? Because single justice Dewar reinforced Judge McCarthy Naaman's decision to put Kelsey back in jail. So he said, it could happen. Nobody can count on it, but the justices take these requests for expedited review very seriously. Let's hope that they do. Let's hope we hear something, and hope it's good news that we hear. And you don't want to, as we like to say, you don't want to push for an answer you don't want to hear. Like, great, we got the decision. They did what? They reaffirmed. That's not what you want. Let's see what else we got here. There was something else I was just going to do. Oh, I know. There was that hearing going on. We're watching Walshe. That's in the main courtroom, they call it there in Dedham. Again, you walk up the stairs. The stairs has a one turn. As you come up the stairs, you turn right, and then you're up on the hallway landing. From that position, hard right is the main courtroom. Dead ahead is the courtroom 25, which is, for lack of a better description, the Karen Reed courtroom, the Judge Bev courtroom. And today at 2 o'clock, they were having a hearing in there related to all of those cases in which the Proctor material might have some impact, and that everyone's been fighting over whether or not it should be destroyed, as the federal court requested. Remember, the federal court said 30 days after the Karen Reed verdict, this material's got to be tossed. And there were extensions, mainly because defendants, including Brian Walshe, although we haven't seen it apply in his case, we don't know if that's because there was nothing that was helpful, or because they just really didn't have the time to get into it before getting to this trial. His trial was the first up in the queue. Miles King is one of the others. And they're all looking for evidence of Proctor's, proctological behavior. So they have the King hearing today, Miles King with two others. And apparently there's been confirmation now that all of those rumors about the texts and the nastiness of Proctor's contents of his phone, a lot of racist material, and this is from the Broken Baker, who I think he streamed it. We had the Walshe case going, so we did not. But he says they've confirmed the rumor that there was a lot of racist material on his phone extractions. Shocking! Nobody expected that. Okay, and we're also going to do today something we haven't done in a long time. We're going to do what I like to call true crime roulette. And who better to do that with than this guy? Wake up, correspondent Scott. Are you with me? Here he is.
I'm cheating in chat trying to get names. I'm like, what was the DC Boy Toys name? And they're like, oh, William Fastow, thank you.
Oh, yes, yes.
That was the most fascinating part of today because the rest of the day was very boring.
Okay, so let me lead you through this because that's my job. I have to lead you through the questions. So everybody was dying to see the boyfriend, to see him and hear him.
Right.
I kind of was kind of disappointed overall. Thoughts?
Yes. I did. So is the Commonwealth bringing up William Fastow to paint a motive upon Walsh?
Well, the theory was, and we were expecting to hear that somehow Brian Walsh learned pretty overtly, like either from Anna, or from Fastow, that they were a thing and that they were looking toward their future. But I heard nothing from him that would suggest that. It was the opposite. It was basically, hey, she would rather come out at some point about it rather than be found out. But according to Fastow, she hadn't done that yet.
But Fastow on Cross, he was directly asked that, like,
yeah, and that's
you
the
were
reason.
you were afraid to come out. You were very recently separated from your wife with your 2 kids.
Yep.
You were definitely having a secret affair. They weren't going to be open about it to anybody. But it almost sounds like Walsh kind of knew about it.
Well, if you were you there in the morning before the jury showed up?
No, I wasn't there.
So there was a hearing, and I want to play a little bit of this because sometimes you get some interesting little insights from what the judge does. She was first of all talking about the plea deals and how that's affected by what happens in this case. One of the charges that he's pled guilty to is lying to the police. In the vernacular, that's the short version, lying to police. The sentencing on that is dependent on what was he lying about. So if he's lying about a high crime like murder, that increases the sentence possibilities for the crime he's admitted to. Right?
Well, I was watching it on my phone as I was commuting into the court, so I did see Judge Diane Frenier address this.
Yes. So that was the first thing she talked about. There were 2 things. First, she talked about that and said that she's going to withhold any sentencing on those 2 charges to which he's pled guilty until after this trial because it will impact the sentencing range. And that makes perfect sense. And I'm not sure how much they could do with those plea deals anyway without causing a problem on appeal. The second thing she talked about, and I want to show this rather because there's kind of a moment before she gets into the second thing, and the second thing is what we're talking about here. So let me get to the right one here. Stand by. This is Judge Diane Frenier. How do we know it's her? How do we know? Because she has great hair.
Typical man.
So there she is. Oh, I'm sorry. There she is. And let me play a little of this. Just let me tell you what you're gonna see, and then I want you to pick up on it if you do the same thing I did. Remember what's going on in this courtroom. This right now it's just the attorneys and anybody that's in the gallery. There is no jury. She's going over these pieces of paper. You'll see her move one pile of paper over to the other side of her desk, which is basically the sentencing pile of paperwork. Then she's moving on to the second issue, which are the text messages. And we call tonight's show Text Mess because it really was, almost because there wasn't what we had hoped for. Anyway, then there's something she hears in the courtroom. What is that? So listen to this.
Yes.
Me?
Did you say something?
No, I was just whispering to Mr. Tipton.
Oh, maybe the whisper came a little louder than we thought. Anyway, I also
look at that knowing little smirk she gave. She may have heard the guts of what was being whispered to co-counsel Tipton, and it might have been kind of I don't want to say criticism of the court, but it might have been something that clearly co-counsel didn't expect the court to hear. You weren't there for that part, but I've noticed when I was there, I could hear whispering. those microphones are pretty good.
Well, I noticed Frenier too. She's very observant. She'll instantly find when they're screwing up. I mean, the other day she was like, "Oh, this is the exhibit number. Hello," and she called a couple sidebars today, which she hasn't been doing. But she'll put a stop to any shenanigans or when things are getting off track. She's right on top of it. I love watching her in person. And then when she does her sidebars, she's right up leaning on the edge of the bench, right in their faces, very friendly to both sides, very engaging. She put the stop to anything going off the rails very quickly. And obviously the pool camera can't show the sidebars. So if you're watching it on any live stream or TV, you don't see that.
Yeah, and so when you're sitting there, and we were in the second row, I don't know if you were at a closer point today or not, but from that second row,
I was in the second row behind his mother today.
Behind mom, yeah. So that's where we were sitting, and you can hear, and you certainly can kind of read lips of what's going on in the sidebar. You can kind of hear, you get a sense of, and as I said yesterday, I was talking about at one point she was given this, the glasses to Tipton, and there's only one way to interpret that, and that's kind of like a chastising or warning, right?
But most of the time she has the glasses out just as you described.
Well, it wasn't like I do
she's
this.
Very friendly, almost jovial when she's talking to both sides. The sidebars I saw today.
I don't think she's mean at all, but there was that point where it wasn't like playfully with the glasses. It was like, this is important.
Well,
giving you a little bit of a heads
what
up.
I've learned from her, if she's doing that with the glasses, like, hey, but she's not like that normally. She called a couple sidebars today on her own.
Yeah,
like time out, come over here, but she's not like chastising anybody. She's not in anybody's faces. She's very friendly about it. Like, hey, whether she's talking to Tipton or its co-counsel or the state, they're all working it out. It's not confrontational from the judge. She's not, being like that at all. She's being great. Right?
She's not being Bev. I think that's what you're trying to say. So I want to play a little bit of what she did next, which had to do with the text messages, which was so important. I think people should understand the whole hearsay issue and what they can come in for and what they can't come in for. But she was talking specifically about Fastow, and so I'm imagining there's going to be all of these kind of mushy texts back and forth, and the goal being for the Commonwealth to suggest that as a result, Brian Walshe learned about the affair, right? So let's listen to just a little about the technicalities of how to bring that in. Then we can talk about what actually came in, and I want to get your reaction to it and get your feedback from what you think the jury had to do. Were they reacting at all? Were they bored? But let's listen to some of this.
I understand from the emails that came to me last night that the defense is no longer agreeing to all the William Fastow messages coming in. Is that right?
Not trying to hedge, but the court indicated that you were inclined to perhaps keep some out. And so my intention is, if any, then all, but I think Mr. Walshe deserves the benefit of knowing what the court's ruling is before I have to negotiate with the Commonwealth. So I apologize for that, but I am asking for some guidance there.
All right. That's like a...
Well, actually, can we approach? That might be easier. No. Okay.
So I'm not giving an advisory opinion. And so here's what I'm going to say to you with regard to that. I'm going to read something in the record because I want it to be clear under what authority I am allowing those text messages in, so the record is complete. And this ruling relates to both the my thought process with regard to the William Fastow text messages, to the extent that they reveal some state of mind evidence of Anna Walsh. And also, just so that I'm clear, these thoughts equally apply to the reason why on an earlier motion in limine with regard to the expected testimony of Alyssa Kirby, why I believe these state of mind statements are coming in. So just bear with me while I read this into the record. And this is my oral order on the motion to admit the text messages between Anna Walsh and William Fastow. And again, same reasoning for what I expect at some point will become a similar issue with regard to a conversation Anna Walsh had with Alyssa Kirby, I think on the evening of 10/12/29/22. The Commonwealth filed a motion in limine to enter text messages between William Fastow and Anna Walsh as evidence of Anna's state of mind. Quote, an exception to the hearsay rule permits the admission of evidence of a murder victim's state of mind as proof of the defendant's motive to kill the victim, end quote.
Okay, two things I want to point out here. Number one, this Alyssa Kirby thing, I mean, she's teed this up to make us wonder, okay, what's that going to be? Of course, it also seemed to tee up what the Fastow testimony might include, and it was not much. So she's just guessing what might be to come. And in fact, Scott, the Fastow testimony had what, two texts maybe?
Well, I think the judge is worried that a lot of the Fastow testimony is like hearsay. Like she was trying to okay, put a little cold water on it. And it kind of went there in his testimony because some of the stuff he was saying was like opinion. And he got attacked on that on cross. I think the defense was trying to throw cold water on it. Like, hey, what you're saying, I'm asking you a question and you're saying, oh, this is how Anna felt.
Yeah, there's
you know what I mean? It's
there's no doubt he can't relay what somebody else felt, because how would he have, unless it's from, if I see somebody crying, I can testify that I saw them crying. I can't testify that they were sad, because maybe they're crying because they're happy. So you can't testify about somebody else's feelings.
The other problem is, so if you look at Anna Walsh as a cheating wife and he's a cheating husband or a recently separated husband, they might not be telling each other the whole truth. She could have been telling him complete lies. So if he comes into court testifying in this, to me, it's hearsay. If I was a juror, I don't know how much weight I would put on anything he says, to be honest, unless you see a text or whatever.
Yeah, I want to get your sense of how the jury, certainly they knew who he was and he was coming in. And I don't know if you could sense whether they were disappointed or not. But let me get into a little more of her, just a brief bit more of her decision making on this, because it became so important. And it all goes to the same issue, which is, what did Brian Walsh know about the affair? Because was it or wasn't it a motivation for him to kill her? That's all this is about.
That's all it's about. Exactly.
Okay, here we go.
Commonwealth versus Castano, 478 Mass 75 at 85, 2017. Such evidence is admissible, quote, when and only when there also is evidence that the defendant was aware of that state of mind at the time of the crime and would be likely to respond to it. Period. End of quote. Commonwealth versus Qualls, 425 Mass 163, 167, 1997. There need not be direct evidence that the defendant learned of the victim's state of mind, so long as the jury reasonably could have inferred that he did learn of it. Citing again to Castano, 478 Mass at 85.
And that is important. And by the way, Scott, people are yelling at me that you're choppy. Do you feel choppy? Your audio?
I have no idea. I have a ratchet set up here. I put my phone in a ring light, and that's all I have. Because
Okay.
I use my laptop. I don't use the camera on my laptop, so
How come?
if my audio is choppy, I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, it wasn't the other night when I was in the mobile studio. So anyway, I'm just passing that along.
I
So
might
people
have my
are not yelling
Wi-Fi
at me.
turned off on my phone, but I don't want to screw up my link right now.
Okay. I mean, it's I can hear you perfectly well. It's just it's obviously bothering some people. So anyway, so this is important because she's saying the jury can infer from whatever they hear that he knew, and that gives, you know, obviously the jury's not in the room, they're not hearing this, but that law, and it'll be argued, I guarantee you, by the prosecution, that gives them free rein to just say, well, you know, there's a lot of things I heard, I can infer that he knew. We also know that there were specific instances which we believe when he talked to the cops, he may have had the ability to see text messages that Anna sent to Fastow because because of the arrangement with the phones. And I've had this conversation before. I had it this morning, but I'll do it again. But let me let her just complete a little more of this, then we'll get into it.
In this case, there is evidence from which the jury reasonably could infer that the defendant saw the text messages exchanged between William Fastow and Anna Walshe. Specifically, during his interviews with the police on January 4th, 2023, Brian Walshe told detectives that sometimes Anna's iMessenger comes up on his phone and that he had seen messages people were leaving for Anna. That is at the 1/4/23 interview transcript at page 30. During his January 7th, 2023 interview, Brian Walshe told police that Anna took a bunch of photos on New Year's Eve and that she sent one to William Fastow around 10 o'clock. That can be found in the interview of 1/7/23 transcript at 86. And during his January 8th, 2023 interview, Brian Walshe told the detectives that they could get the exact time that his son went to bed on New Year's Eve based on the time Anna texted Fastow the photo. That may be found on the 1/3/23 interview transcript at page 7. From such evidence, which accurately noted the time Anna sent the photo to William Fastow, it is reasonable to infer that the defendant had seen her text message exchange. Contrary to the defendant's contention, the text messages at issue contain some evidence of Anna's state of mind at the time of the crime. In particular, she sends messages regarding her feelings of confusion in her married life, her intimate relationship with Fastow, and her desire to make future plans with Fastow. While there was some discussion of redacting portions of the messages that are not relevant to the state of mind evidence, and I will reserve ruling on those as I now know the parties' positions has changed. I will reserve ruling on those. I continue to believe that there are certain messages that are not relevant to Anna's state of mind. And if the defendant objects during the proceeding of Mr. Fastow's testimony to those, I will rule on those real time, as we do in many cases.
Okay, so what that really is kind of an anticipation of an appeal. That's, you know, because this is the court making a record that on appeal would be reviewed, and they're going to the appellate court's going to look at that, see how she reasoned as she did, and makes it much more likely they're going to affirm what she did. So I thought that was fascinating, and I think critical for this case. And when I was ready then for the Fastow back and forth barrage of emails or text. And remember, hearsay just means that you're offering a statement for the truth of the matter asserted. For example, if one of the text messages from Anna to Fastow said, "My husband is a real asshole," well, he's really not an asshole. That's virtually impossible. So it's not being offered to prove that he's an asshole. It's being offered to prove her state of mind as it relates to him, and therefore his motivation to kill her. So you can get a lot of hearsay in as a non-hearsay state of mind statement. We just didn't see that many. So take on the jury and Fastow. What did you see from the box?
I mean, Fastow was answering questions, forthright and freely. He didn't seem to hesitate. But
What about the jury, though? What? How were they? I mean, were they
if I'm a
listening?
juror and I'm looking at him, like, okay, your fling from Boston was unalived. You don't seem that broken up about it.
Okay, I mean,
You know
that's
what I
your
mean?
take. Did the jury? Did they seem just kind of matter of fact in taking in his testimony? Was there a lot of note taking? Or what?
There's some jurors, like if you one being on the left, there's a few there in the front row that are taking a lot of notes, but there's a lot of jurors that aren't. They're just looking, they're watching.
See if I can find
What
my.
I think some people were looking at. So what we've seen of Anna Walsh is she was a very attractive, fit woman. And then you see this William Fastow walk in. He's kind of diminutive. He's a slight man. He's not tall. He's not that attractive. He has a weird gait in his step. I don't like to body shame people, and I don't know if he had congenital things, but he has a very weird walk. Like there's something wrong with his legs.
Interesting. I didn't pick that up from the.
He doesn't look like. He can play football tomorrow night. You know what I mean? He's just not.
Well, it depends on the team. You might be able to play for the New York Giants.
When you see him walking into court to get onto the stand or leaving the stand, walking out of the courtroom, you don't like to judge people on their looks, but you're looking at him like, really? Anna went for this guy?
Well, let's put that in since we're being shallow, let's put that in perspective of Brian Walsh. Is he a catch? I wouldn't jump from one over the other.
So put it this way: if you put Brian Walsh in his prime next to William Fastow, and you're a woman and you're Anna, and you're looking at the two of them, I think she picks Brian Walsh.
So you're more attracted to Brian Walsh. Okay, let me write that down. I got that. Okay. I was looking to see, what does he look like? Because sometimes we see that where the ex or the current and the soon-to-be ex, they look alike, the new guy. And that happens with women too. But this guy definitely had a whole different look. Oh, I know where we saw that in the Donna Adelson case. Remember, Wendy Adelson's ex, Jeff? Like he kind of looked like Dan Markel. Well,
I mean, he was the real estate broker, right? That's how Anna met him.
Yeah, she was dabbling in that business,
and then it just happened, I guess.
Those things just happen. Yeah, and so the mutual friend hooks him up, and it happens all the time in real estate. As a broker myself, you get referrals, and so this person, what's the weird name? Mulak. What's that name? His first name is Jem. It's either J-I-M like a guy or G-E-M like a girl, or it could be a guy with G-E-M. I don't know. They are going to testify from what I hear. That person was the conduit to get Brian Walsh and Anna Walsh hooked up with Fastow. What's his name again?
William Fastow.
Yeah, Fastow. And he said he met Brian. So it was kind of like, here's this couple. And that happens in the business a lot too. You've got one person that is the point person in a group, right? In a coupling. Sometimes it's the husband, sometimes it's the wife. In this case, because she was working there anyway, it was clearly going to be Anna that worked with this guy. And that's what happened. He didn't have any real contact with Brian Walsh. So I think, have you ever had a situation where somebody else in your family has an electronic gadget and you're getting their messages?
I haven't had that happen, but
I've had that happen. In fact, it happens a lot. I don't say anything because sometimes it's kind
Apple
of
devices or like.
Here's what it is. They are Apple devices. I have a Samsung because I like superior technology. I'm not a follower. Apple.
I'm a Samsung like myself.
So, I mean, it's better technology. What can I tell you? Maybe the commercials aren't good enough. But if you have a Mac, but I have
all upset.
Yeah, I know they're like a cult. I'm sorry. I have an iPad. I have a MacBook Pro. This we're working on is a MacBook Pro. I believe this technology is superior, but the phone, sorry. Anyway, I will get a certain family member's messages on one of my MacBooks and my iPad that are not for me.
Yeah. I don't
me.
have Apple products, so I don't.
Okay,
I've
see,
never
I'm cross-
experienced it.
You know, Scott, I
I got a Windows PC and I have an Android phone, so
Okay, I'm cross-pollinating.
I'm Apple
my
ignorant. I have no idea.
Well, sometimes, and again, the iPad, it's a superior product against all the other PC-based tablets. It just is. So I got both
I know
worlds
it is.
colliding, and because of that, I'm getting text messages that are not for me. So I know how that can happen. If there is evidence that in fact happened, and you heard the judge basically recite that there was, right? She said that he, in police interviews, said he was getting some of her messages that were not intended for him. That's what you need. That's more than inferring that he knew. That's pretty damn good evidence that he knew.
Well, if you're Walsh's defense team, Tipton et al., that your only goal here is to reasonable doubt whatever we can do here. You know what I mean? Because the last couple days, well, yesterday was worse with all the evidence being presented and the text messages, and it looks bad for the defendant no matter how you look at it.
There's no doubt.
If you're the defense, all you can hope for is somebody's reasonable doubt in that jury box when you're
That's right.
down from 16 to 12.
So as much as we, and again, if we try to erase what we already know about the case, if we're just in the jury box, I think we would still find enough to find him guilty. Okay, but we're not in the jury box, and those that are might just say it's not enough. He's a horrible human being. Look what he did. Look at all the lies, all of the text messages and the cell phone data that came in today about him reaching out to get help. Hey, have you seen Anna? She hasn't reported into work. We all know that was bullshit because he already knew what happened to her.
Did you notice how poorly the pool camera guy did today? He was terrible.
We're not sure. I'm not sure whether to blame. Ultimately, I blame Court TV because he's doing whatever they tell him.
Well, I know the
he's not making it up.
They have an earphone in, and their producer is telling them what to do, where to point the camera. But there was several times today where they were showing Celebrite spreadsheets on the screen.
They weren't showing it. I know they weren't showing it.
They weren't. You look over at the pool camera. The pool camera guy is literally sitting on the bench on his cell phone, and he has the camera focused on the witness stand or the side of Brian Walsh's head.
Yep.
And we're all in the courtroom. We got that big 70-inch screen right in front of us.
Yep.
And we're seeing the Celebrate. We're seeing all that stuff, and then I'm sneaking in on Melanie Little's live, and I'm like. You people aren't seeing what we're seeing in the courtroom because the pool camera is focused on Trooper Keefe or whoever.
Yeah.
Or the side of Brian Walsh's head.
You'll have to take care of that.
I don't know if that's the producer telling the pool camera guy not to show the screen or what's going on there.
I don't know. We talked about it this morning. And I gave them a break at first, and I said, but somebody needs to fix that, and they never did. Days that I was there weren't as many on the screen, but every time there were, the guy was on it, and they were shown. Not so much with all these documents. And I know one time he got caught where they talked about a document, he starts to pan over, and they already took it down. So he just stopped midway and just came back.
Well, I suppose sometimes maybe the broadcaster that's, running the pool camera doesn't want to show the screen that we can see in court because it has
that's all he's got.
Phone numbers and addresses or something.
I guess, but that's all he's got because, as we've talked about, they aren't hardwired into the system, and sometimes you get to do that, whether it's Court TV, Law and Crime, or whomever. Sometimes you can't. That's the best way because then somebody who's producing could just hit the button and that takes over the screen, not the camera. But here the camera is all they've got, and they're forced to do all that movement. So you're right. Whose fault it is, who knows? But it is it's annoying and it's frustrating. Mama Claire 4, Samsung here too. There you go. We're going to start a Samsung movement here, Scott. It is good stuff.
I don't know. I've grabbed an iPhone and I literally don't know how to navigate it. I'm just so used to an Android.
Okay, this is
So
this is bad news.
Android.
Jen Fox 9904. We get shafted with sending super charts or chats. What does that mean if you're not an Apple or this? Who's getting shafted? Please clarify. I don't like shafting.
Well, I have noticed that being moderator on several YouTube channels, that it's very difficult if you're using an iPhone to join memberships or send super chats from your iPhone for some reason.
Yeah,
I have heard of this
you've
problem.
seen that?
Yeah.
Ocean Beach says, "Hey now, love my iPhone." All right. It's a free country. Everybody is free to choose inferior technology. It's not against the law.
But part of the issue between like Apple and like Google is they're always in a fight with each other. So like they purposely make things where they don't mesh because they're in competition with each other. So
Yeah, I know. I get that. And let's face it, Apple owns the world in terms of market share. It's something like 41%. And then everybody else is all divvied up. There's Google, which is the Pixel, I think, is one of their sub brands, the Google phones. And then obviously Samsung has a lot of the Android market. Don't forget this, as I will. Coming up after we're done with our normal show, we have a members only talking about Cosgrove and the filing that will be sort of discussed tomorrow in the Aidan Carney case, but probably not in detail because the new judge is pushing it off. But it's worth getting into. And I did, and I even outlined some stuff. I highlighted stuff, Scott. So we're going to get into that 7 as a members only, or whenever we're done, we'll do that.
But just to wrap up today, after Fastow left the stand, then we were subjected to bar class instructors, daycare providers.
What was wrong with that?
The woman that was next to Anna in the nail salon, and I'm sitting in there in the second row behind his mother, and I'm looking over at the jury, and I'm just like this, like, oh God.
So what was the jury doing? Were they doing that? Or were they tolerating
I've
it?
been amazed. So I've been in the court 2 days now. I missed yesterday. The jury is actually like surprisingly like paying attention. The person on the witness stand, their heads this way. The prosecution of defense is, at the podium, that they're paying attention, and I'm sitting there like this, and like, oh my God, I don't know how they're doing it.
But you think the jury was either truly paying attention or they were faking it? Is that what you're saying? Because it looked to you like they were paying attention.
There's stuff that goes up on the screen, and when you look over at the jury box, they have all the monitors in front of them.
Yeah.
So they're either taking notes, or they're their eyes are focused on the monitor that's in front of them.
Yeah.
But normally, when there's a direct cross or direct, they're paying attention to the witness stand, they're paying attention to the podium, or Tipton likes to walk around and be like right in front of them.
Yeah, I missed I didn't see enough Tipton today. It was way too much with the woman I'm calling the mechanic.
She was good though.
Anna Yass. I mean, not Anna. I'm sorry. Kelly, right? Kelly Porges. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was good to be like cross-examining Fastow. I thought that was a good choice by the defense team to have her doing that.
I was wondering about that because, and I think it was not by accident that they had the women both direct examining and cross-examining the boyfriend. I think that was purposeful. But I just think her style is she's a mechanic. I'm in, here's what I need to do, and there's, it can be effective, but it could also be sometimes sing-songy and a little bit flat. You know,
No,
sometimes-
I think she's pretty good when you know, that's one of the good things about being in court. You get the feel because you're right there. I think she's aggressive enough, but not too so. You know, but she's good. I thought
all right.
I would rather have her crossing Fastow than Tipton. I think that was a wise.
I don't know. I would have liked that. I just for my own personal. I don't think it's probably strategically the best thing, but I think it would have been more entertaining. Debbie
Yeah,
Blair
maybe.
says that was all crazy. They were beautiful women, but so are they trying to say he was fit? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not so sure anybody is wondering about his fitness, but they were clearly trying to say that because she did all of these classes, and Debbie again says her daughter is an RN and teaches pure.
I think the Commonwealth was pushing the fact that she was so fit.
Oh yeah, that's no doubt it. That's it. To say she could not have dropped dead.
If Walsh goes back to like she, you know, suddenly died for some reason, the Commonwealth's trying to paint the picture like, no, she was at the top of her fitness level. There's no way she just would have dropped dead.
That's the theory. But you know, how many people remember Jim Fix? I'm pretty sure that's his name. Jim Fix, remember Jim Fix, the fitness expert, used to run all over the place, dropped dead of a heart attack, and there could not have been anybody more fit.
We've seen pro or college athletes drop dead on the court.
Yeah,
you just don't, you know.
So it's a possibility.
It obviously benefits the Commonwealth to paint a picture.
Of course, they have to, because
Anna
now,
was like, you know, she could do 60 push-ups in the bar class.
They didn't know. I'm confident they did not know before this trial began that the defense was going to be, I found her dead. And when that happened, the focus of their argument had to shift dramatically from the guy that knew nothing and his wife was missing to the guy who found his wife dead. And now you're immediately saying, okay, well, let's find out if they had found information that she had some underlying condition. And I'm not so sure we won't hear from the defense something like that. We don't know yet. Remember, there's some vague, she wasn't feeling well on the 27th. That was some of the information that came in early on. We don't know what that means. And she had a cancer scare at some point earlier, like I think before she began all of this this bar exercise routine, which is basically ballet and fitness strength training kind of combined. Hey,
I mean, I don't know much about it, but I guess bar class is pretty intense.
I could not do it. I guarantee you, I would break something. Alexandra Gonzalez says, "Hey Scott, just want to make sure you got your shout out there." I'm confident I would not do
day again. So we went through Fastow, which was probably the most interesting part of the day, and then we went through the bar class and
how about this woman? How about Sandra Waldrop, the general manager of the garbage bins? How about her?
Yeah,
I loved her.
She was quite a firecracker. Huh?
Yes,
I loved her.
In fact, I'm gonna, when I come up there next time, and I'm trying to figure out when it'll be, maybe one day next week, I'm finding her. I'm going to that apartment complex to see if she'll chat, because she seems great, and the insights she might have about the community, and I can't wait to talk to her. She was my favorite from today.
That was an interesting part of the day, because she's showing the video from the apartment complex. You see Brian Walsh drive up, and then there's a video of the dumpster.
Let me ask you this.
But if you're in court and you were seeing it on the 70-inch screen, you could read his license plate. You could see him walking in and out of that caged-in dumpster area very clearly.
Yeah, we're gonna look at it.
When I seen his body, I'm like, that's Brian Walsh, guaranteed 100%.
We're gonna look at that real quick, but before, here's the bar instructor girl.
And what was her demeanor when she came to Bar Method in Boston?
She was always so warm, seeing somebody every day.
Objection.
Overruled. We'll let the answer stand. Move on.
While in Boston, did you ever meet Brian Walsh?
He did come into the Bar Method, yes.
And how many times did you meet him?
At least once or twice.
Now, directing your attention to Saturday, December 31st of 2022, were you working that day?
I was
And where were you working?
at the bar method in Hingham.
And which class were you teaching?
I was teaching both classes. There's one around 8:15 and one around 9:15.
And who was in your 8:15 a.m. class?
Anna was.
So very interesting. It was her first day at that particular location, and she hadn't seen Anna in a long period of time. And there she is. She bumps into her. They have to cut their conversation short because she's doing the next class. And then, she's dead. She's gone. This is kind of a version of True Crime Roulette. I'm actually the one saying when it's going to stop. Normally, I would ask you to say stop, and then we just talk about it. But I want to show specific stuff. Okay, so here's my friend. Here's my new best friend.
On the top.
She was fantastic.
And the Claremont, is it near any other apartment complexes?
Yes, it's so right behind us, our back parking lot, there is the Chestnut Glen. Years ago, it used to be the same owner. It used to be connected.
In Chestnut Glen, is that an apartment complex or is it assisted living or like what is Chestnut Glen?
It is a home for the elderly and disabled.
Okay. And
okay, so she's basically setting up what's going on there and leading into the video that we're going to get to here, which is dun, dun, dun. And I was so excited to see how clear this was. Tell me if you got the same impression, Scott, when they go from this video.
Well, I mean, obviously you're seeing it. So the court pool camera is showing the screen.
Oh yeah, so it's going to
I
be
was literally right in front of that screen.
That's why I want to get your.
It's high def, like you wouldn't believe.
That's what I want to get your take on. When we go to the back camera, though, it looks like we're in the middle of a snowstorm. So let this roll.
Well, because I think it went to night vision or whatever.
Yeah, so it must. I mean, this is 4:30 again, January 4:30. You're running out of daylight, but let's watch here. So we'll see the Volvo XC90. That's the car my daughter and son-in-law, they have one of these.
And they even asked the witness that any of the tenants own a vehicle like this.
Could you pause?
No.
All right. Now, Ms. Waldrop, I have some questions about your videos in and of themselves.
Yes.
The date on the video, what is the date in the top left-hand corner?
January 3rd, 2023.
And the time, what does it denote the time?
It's 4:33 p.m.
Now, in January 2023, were there any issues as far as the time on your videos being different from the real time?
Yes, I believe.
Here's my pet peeve. If you've got surveillance cameras, please get the right time on them so that, we don't have to make adjustments. These apparently were sporadically off by about 20 minutes. Not a big deal.
That's what she says. Sometimes the times were wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, so then we go to the back camera. This is the front still, but look, this is at 44. Now it looks like there's a layer of snow, and it is certainly night vision, right? There's no snow.
Right.
There's no snow there. That's at 33. Mm-hmm. And then next one we see at 43. Hey, it's snow.
I think when the cameras switch to the night vision mode, the infrared kind of.
You think that's really not snow?
I mean, it could be, but I don't know.
Odd. Okay, so let's go to the back camera where we see.
You come to the back. This is actually at the bottom of the hill or of the backside where the two dumpsters are located in that fenced area right there.
In that fenced area. And you said they're gated. Is there a lock to them or anything like that?
No.
And what access do you give the general public to your dumpsters? It's people who don't live there. Can they use them?
No, they're not supposed to. No. And there's signs that, it's private property and they are on the surveillance. I mean, it's on surveillance. So they're not meant to use our dumpsters. No.
Did you press play this, Gil?
I'm sure it happens all the time. Maybe not with, body parts, but.
Okay. No, I mean, people do it all the time. Like, I got a bunch of trash to get rid of. I know this apartment complex down the street. I can just throw it in the dumpster.
Oh, so you're the guy. Yeah, I used to have big dumpsters on different properties I was working with, and people always dumping crap in there.
But what I was trying to say, Michael, when you saw his car drive by and just turn left,
right?
You could read his plate. That's how good the quality of the video is. If you're watching the monitor live.
So this is this the one that's him, or is that somebody else? Let me back it up just a second.
It's people who don't live there. Can they use them?
No, they're not supposed to. No, and there's sound surveillance. So
Okay. So there's the car.
Right. You can read the plate number. If you were in the court looking at the 70-inch screen,
even
it's
from this.
crystal clear.
Yeah. I can see now that when the lights, those lights blare the image, so it almost obscures the plate. But without the lights on, you can see it. Okay, so there we go. That's not him leaving. That's another car. So this is him.
No, that's him.
And he's actually coming out at that time. He's coming out.
Right.
Because that one car that drove by blocked him.
But what I'm saying is, when I was in the courtroom in the second row, and that huge monitor is right there, the quality of the video is so perfect, and you can just see his body shape. I'm like, oh, that's
yeah. Well, that definitely looks like a dumpy guy. Yeah. So that was one visit. We see the second half of it because that car blocked when he went in. We see him come out. Now we see him go in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I don't know if he made 2 trips from the car.
It looks like 2 trips, but we missed the first half of the first trip because that car leaving masks his movement.
Yeah.
So we see 2. What do you think about the way he's carrying? Let's back it up a second here. About the way he's carrying the bag. To me, I was looking at some indication of, is it heavy?
Heavy.
So it's like body parts versus rags. It looked to me heavy, a little bit like
it did look heavy. Yeah.
And it's because look at his body, how he's leaning against it, because you have to counteract the weight in the bag, right? So that's what he's doing. He's walking kind of sideways like that because the bag's heavy. Yeah, you don't walk like that if you just got a bunch of of rags and stuff. And then he's kind of leaning back as he hoists it in. So I don't know what was
because
in
the
there.
bags that they did find. I mean, what was the heaviest items? Boots,
there was
clothing.
a purse in there. There was nothing as heavy as body parts. Even somebody who's 115 pounds in pieces, you're talking 10, 20, 30 pounds for sure.
Yeah. Who knows?
And this is the only video they have of all the dumping they think took place. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure not every dumpster has like a surveillance camera running on it 24/7.
No, that is it's an interesting location, right? I mean, are they having that many problems with their trash that they do that? I guess they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he's moving on because remember, based on all the other information we have, he made a number of additional stops. So,
but are those bags the ones they found, or are they
no, I think not, because they would have at least talked about them, if not shown them. They didn't talk about it. They would have talked about what they found in them. These, I think, went to the incinerator, which was a distinction they've made about which ones were going to the dump, which they kind of caravan those dumpsters to where they dump them out at the big trash Quonset hut or whatever it is.
Well, around here they call them wheelabrator plants. It's basically a giant indoor area where they dump it out. They literally dump out the trash and they separate it. Oh, we can burn this. This is recyclable. This has to go to a landfill.
They sift through it. Yep.
Yeah.
So this stuff, from what we understand, it was slated for incineration. So it could also be the one that was by his mom's house that was slated for incineration. I might be confusing those. I have to be honest. But they did not find body parts.
Various berries going out that the first things he got rid of, if he did put the body parts in the trash, he did that first. And then by the time the detectives and police were catching up to him, that's when he was getting rid of the bags of the materials, the clothing, and whatever. And they ended up being in time to catch those. But if he had disposed of the body parts prior to that day or two, it was already too late.
And we know this was on the 3rd. And so, I've got page after page of those damn, coordinates where he was here at this point, he was here at that point. And I'm looking at some of the other trash locations, which we believe were, among other things, right by his mom's house, right in Cohasset. Let's see. Was she in Cohasset? Or no, she wasn't in. She was in. Where is it here?
His mother's address is not Cohasset.
No, it's not. She was in another location. I'm looking for that. Oh, that she was near Vinen Square or something like that was the name of the complex. He made a drop there on the 5th, so that would be 2 days after this. And he made a drop there. Find the other one I've noted here. This is in 330 Paradise Road. That was her house. Let's see, the other drop there was on the 5th. So it looks like those drops from which they got the goods were after this drop. And if this was one of many that was body parts, they would have been gone already.
Yeah, if they didn't catch it in time, they didn't catch it in time.
Yeah.
But then there was another theory that the only thing he put in the trash was everything but her body, and maybe he put her body somewhere else. So who knows?
Yeah, no, we don't know. But that's why I was so interested in seeing how he was handling that. His body lugging that. That looked like something weighty.
It definitely looked like it had weight to it. So who knows?
Darcy 14 says it's Photos Duelo's Massachusetts version. Yeah, you're right. Not dissimilar. And I just got something.
Her mother's address.
Yes, she's in Swampscott. Yeah, that's near the there's a Stop and Shop there in Swampscott. That's the 330 Paradise Road, which is near. It's the southeast corner of Vinen Square, which I guess is a shopping center of some sort, which has the Stop and Shop in it as well. So
I mean, obviously he was thinking, I'm not gonna dump all this stuff that I have to dump all in one location.
Oh no, if you believe
he was purposely spreading it out.
Oh, no doubt. If you believe what the Commonwealth is suggesting, that was the goal. And remember, that was the key stuff that the defense was trying to keep out at the beginning of this trial for violating any search warrant or any consent to search. And of course, Judge Finner said, nope, it's all coming in. So if you're gonna.
Well, I mean, as much as I hate DA Morrissey's office and his goon squad of detectives, and the fact that they might have cheated to get the phone records to catch up to this guy, they still didn't catch up to him fast enough.
Yeah.
If he read the body parts prior to the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, but think about it. What are the odds? Remember, there was a question about when the trash was picked up here, right? It was the day after he dropped this stuff. Now, was he the mastermind that knew that? Probably not.
No.
He would much rather.
She said the dumpsters were picked up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, and he dropped on Tuesday night. So
but that's a lot of pickups for a dumpster, even for an apartment complex.
That's because people are dumping their shit in there all the time that don't live there. That's why.
Oh, that's crazy.
They keep getting full. So my point is that he didn't know that. He did not. He got lucky. He didn't know that. And the cops would have had to been. How amazing would that have been for the cops? This is 2 days after it happened, and before she was even reported missing. So they'd have to be clairvoyant.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, there's no way the police would have been on his tail at that point.
No. So he probably felt the same way about the other trash, but it was nailed sooner, probably because they didn't have quite the aggressive dumping system. I can see most of these places twice a week at the most, maybe once a week.
So much depends, like where you're dumping it, because you might have an apartment complex or a restaurant or a business that they have a contractor for their dumpster. Then you have the city or town trash. That trash goes on certain days to this place, but the apartment complex dumpsters are from Acme dumpster, and those dumpsters go to this place. You know what I mean? So it's a lot for the police to try to figure out where this trash went, who picked it up, what company.
I made a note of. They had 91 units in this department where he dumped his trash, where Ms. Waldrop was. So just to give you a sense of 91 units, how much trash they might generate. Anyway, we're we're not going to solve the trash question here, but it's been fun talking trash with you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we didn't even get to Trooper Keefe, which was the end of the day.
I know. Thank
And
God.
it was
To be
kind of
honest, I had
boring.
enough. I had enough of him.
What I was laughing about, though, is they can pinpoint phones where they're at, what cell phone towers they pinged off of. Oh, they were a quarter mile from this azimuth, but in John O'Keefe's phone, they had no idea where it was. They knew where it was. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Yep. I was going to play some of the video from him in the Karen Read 2 trial where he brings out the tennis shoe, but we're kind of out of time. So I got to move on to this member-only thing that we're going to do about the Aidan Carney matter that's going to be heard to some degree tomorrow. So you think you're going back tomorrow for the half day? Going back tomorrow for the half day?
I might. I don't know. I'd like to know, like, witnesses are coming up, you know?
I know. Well, they've been so good up to now.
Miss the big day. I don't want to miss big days. Like, oh, it's Yuri Buchanan, or it's.
Yeah, well, they've been very good up to this point about giving us a sense of, the coming attractions. But I didn't hear anything today. Did you?
Well, there's bleed over with Keith still on the stand.
He could take all of the day tomorrow. We're still on direct.
But I didn't hear any talk at the end of the court day after the jury was dismissed. I didn't hear the judge asking the prosecution, who you plan on bringing tomorrow. I didn't hear any of that.
I didn't hear any of that either. So it was a little more frustrating. But I get the sense that it could be keen all day tomorrow, because they're going to do a couple hours. Once they have the morning stuff figured out, they'll do an hour and a half. They'll take a break, and then they'll do another hour and a half. That may be all they have. And if they finish him a touch early, I could see them releasing him for the day and not starting on anybody else unless it's a short witness. So.
And even today, outside the courtroom during breaks or whatever, I'm like looking around, like who's the possible witness?
Yeah, nobody was sitting in the. Yeah, I was like,
saw the bald guy with wearing all black, and he turned out to be the paint guy. I didn't know he was going to be a witness.
He's the
and then I
repair
see
guy.
these three women hanging around together, and I think they're just here for court business, and they turned out to be witnesses. I had no idea.
See? Here's the difference. When I was down in Florida for the Adelson case, I was asking anybody I saw in the hallway. I was saying, "Hey, what are you here for?" And they would tell me. If I do that up there, I'll get arrested for witness intimidation.
I don't know. I'm not that bold. I'm not going to be walking around in the hallways. Hey, are you a witness? Are you going on the stand?
I was doing that in Florida, and it was no big deal. Nobody cared. I'm not trying to. There was one point where a witness was sitting at the bench and had gotten up, and we both went. There was a kind of an antechamber between the hallway and the courtroom, just like there is in Massachusetts, but it was a lot bigger. And there was a table in there, and she had moved to that table, and so I'm standing there talking with her, just who you are, what's going on. They open the door, and it's the prosecution bringing her in. So everybody in the gallery has become accustomed to, when they get a new witness, the prosecutor goes out into this anteroom, and the next person that emerges is the new witness, right? So I'm in there with her. I'm not the next witness, but I'm the first to emerge from that room after the prosecution comes out. And that I felt that's probably a little closer than I should cut it. I probably shouldn't get that close. But I would not do that in Massachusetts. They'll haul me away.
It's like earlier in the court day, there's a woman sitting in front of me or next to me, taking 1 million notes, like crazy, like on a legal pad. And then later on, I see her out in the hallway with Tipton and the other attorney, and it turns out she's like an assistant to them.
Hey,
and then 3 of them were out there huddling in the hallway talking strategy.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, now I know who you are.
And it's a very tight little area. It's not like a big, broad, modern courtroom hallway. It's a tiny little area. So you can't help but overhear, really. I mean, it's tough. Let me ask you this before I let you go. Do you have any idea, did you learn who that woman was that was taking notes immediately to the left of the defense table, sitting in one of the side chairs? There's usually a bailiff, court officer next to her. Sometimes it was just empty. She had dark hair, like shoulder length. Any idea?
Usually that's somebody from the DA's office that's
And
doing
taking
that.
notes of exhibits or something. But everybody's
Same
very
thing
curious,
happened in the Karen Reed trials when they were in the small courtroom
right?
where Karen's team got to sit. They had taped off an area, and you might see somebody from the DA office sit in those seats, and they're taking notes.
That's
So
what I assumed.
I'm basically saying that that's somebody from the DA's office, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah, and I think she wasn't there today in that same area. So I'm getting the feeling maybe she was being hounded. She was? Did she have a suit on today? Like a red suit
No,
or something?
but she was way closer to that big monitor.
Oh, so she wasn't in the... See, I was watching it today, not there. Sounds like she's moved herself out of frame.
Yes.
And I think it's because people were either bugging her or she became aware in watching a replay that,
well,
hey,
because every time
I'm front and center.
Every time the pool camera is like aimed at like Walsh. And
yeah, she's right there. Yeah.
She's in the background.
Yeah.
So she moved closer to the benches.
Okay.
So she's out of frame, but she's still there. She was there.
Well, if I see her next week when I'm up there, I will definitely ask her because I can't help myself. Okay, sir, I'm going to let you go.
I guess he's from the DA's office.
Okay, I think that's a solid guess. Thanks, I appreciate it. If you do go tomorrow, we may tap into you tomorrow night. We'll see. There's a few things that are happening tomorrow, so I will reach out and let you know where we are. All right,
Michael.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Fun hanging out.
Okay, take care, man. All righty, so I'm going to dump out of this real quick because we're going to do this members only. We're going to chat about the Cosgrove debacle that it is. I appreciate everybody popping in, contributing to the effort here, whether it be by chatting or just watching or throwing a dollar in one of our options. I can't even keep straight. A like would be good. A subscribe would be good if you haven't already done so. A comment would be great because we do some comment shows. We start sifting through all of the comments and we take them all. Good, bad, or otherwise. Linda Kenny Baden still on assignment. Big day today for her. We'll have more detail on that as it can be released. So appreciate you again. That's going to do it for this. The members thing coming right up as quickly as I can turn things around. In the meantime, this is Justice Served TV. Oh, there we go. There it is. There it is right there. I know I'm not helping Missy by just dumping this late, and we're 12 minutes late. So try to do the right thing.